John Lowery, Senior Coach, thanks so much for joining us. I know you've got a game coming up later on this afternoon, but I want to take some time and talk a little bit about the season so far for the Cougars. First of all, sitting right now at 12-6 on the season. Talk about your season so far. I know you've got a young group with a lot of guys gone from last year's state championship team, just kind of, I don't want to say rebuilding, but maybe reloading a little bit.
Well, we have a number of kids that are getting the opportunity to play on a regular basis for the first time, and I think, we've accorded ourselves well. Obviously, we've played well at times. Other times, we haven't played as well. Our struggles at times have been when we've had some defensive lapses, which I think probably would be indicative of any team when they're not playing successfully on a particular day. But, we've worked some different guys at different positions, and we feel like at this point in the season we're starting to solidify our lineup. And I thought we had a good week last week in Myrtle Beach, and some of the younger guys that are getting the opportunity to play are starting to establish themselves. We had concerns with our inexperience in pitching. I think we've had several kids that have thrown really well for us, and some of our younger kids are stepping up. And I think one of the adjustments, in addition to the new players in our lineup, and I think a lot of the teams are going through this, is adjusting to the new bat standards. I think it's had some effect on on the hitting, which brings some different facets into the game, the defense and the pitching part of it. So, but overall at this point, we're obviously you never like not to win, but the reality of baseball is that that's the nature of the game. And 12-6 at this point, with the way we played down south and the opportunity we had to play every day, I thought we had a good week, and hopefully from this point on in the season we can continue to grow.
Hey, Coach, talk to me a little bit about you mentioned about the bats. Talk to me about that, and how has that made a change in the game?
Well, last year as a team we hit 38 homers. Now I'll be the first to admit we had some kids that graduated that were good high school baseball players, but this year we've only hit 3, and one player has 2 of those. So I think it just impacted the game in you're not going to score runs as quickly, with one swing of the bat. So you have to be able to put runners in motion, get bunts down, try to eliminate the strikeout, make sure that when you do make out that you're at least advancing runners, and things of this nature. Just the game, it's become more of a small ball game. I guess I hate kind of to use that term, but it's you can't just kind of sit back and wait for somebody to with one swing of the bat get you several runs. So it puts a premium on pitching, not giving bases away defensively. Making sure you make plays, because I think each run is certainly of significant value this time around.
And of course, you brought up the point about not wanting to call it small, but a lot more strategic plays coming in. Whether you hit and run here, lay down the bunt, is it more from a coaching standpoint, more strategy that you have to think about in the game?
Well, it's trying to get your kids to understand the nature of the aggressive side of the game, being able to go from first to third on a ball, being able to advance on balls that are in the dirt when you're on first base, your second base, from the mound, balls hit the dirt and kick away, being able to, take advantage of that 90 feet. And conversely, also realizing that defensively you don't want to give up those types of plays. So, it's kind of been interesting. There's been several games in which we've scored, in the double figures. But I think when that happens, it's a result a lot of times of other teams, maybe multiple walks and errors, which I think will show up anytime multiple runs are scored. But it just just the feel of the game is a little different. The balls sometimes, I noticed this in the scrimmage, it seemed like balls that were hitting the infield, the plays were a lot closer at first because the ball didn't seem to be hit as sharply to get to the fielder as quickly. So that's created some need for adjustment. So it's it's been interesting.
Coach, let's talk about the trip to Myrtle Beach. You go 3-2 in that trip. Talk about the competition that your team played and what you thought your team gained from going down there and had a pretty good week.
Well, I thought we had a real good week. We play, we played several teams that were quality teams. Obviously, I think there were 68 teams involved in the different brackets, and you certainly have different levels of caliber of team when you have that many teams together. But we played at Myrtle Beach High School, which is one of the nicer fields in the area down there, and we had the opportunity to play a Catholic school out of Queens, New York, which had a nice program. That was a 9-6 ball game, and it took we talked about not getting the big hit, but we did get a grand slam homer in that game to kind of we were behind at the time and kind of had a 7-run inning, which was the biggest inning we had down there in the week. That helped us win that ball game 9-6. The next day we played Cherry Hill, New Jersey, Cherry Hill East, New Jersey, a team we played last year, and I think we'd beaten them 5-3, or it was a tight game. They beat us 5-1 this time around. They had a solid ball club. You could tell that. And remembering talking with their coach last year, he was had some inexperience in his club last year, and of course those kids were a year older, and they played that way. The interesting thing about that school, it was not that it had any impact on the game, obviously, but just from an interesting standpoint, it was Oral Hershiser's old high school.
Oh, okay.
So that was kind of neat.
Yeah.
And we played a club out of New York, Saranac, New York. Upstate New York. Of course, by Wednesday, a lot of the teams are starting. You're getting into that third and fourth pitching rotation, and we thought we got a good, solid game out of our starter, Sean Spots, that day, and we were able to prevail that day, 11-2. Then we get to the Thursday game, which after the first 3 games, those are pool play games, and you get you get into a Thursday where it's a do or die type situation. They pair all the 3-0 teams, all the 2-1 teams, all the 1-2, and all the 0-3 teams. So we were in the 2-1 bracket, and we played a team out of New York, Frontier, New York, which was up in the Buffalo, New York region. And we were fortunate in that game to come from behind. We were behind 4-2 going to the bottom of the 7th, and we got a 2-run double to 2 outs to pull that one out for us. Then on Friday, we ran into probably the best club we saw all week. Conway, South Carolina, played them on their home field. We were behind 4-0, scored 4 runs to the top of the 5th to tie it up, and then the game got away from us from that point on. But Conway was a real solid ball club. In fact, their cleanup hitter, his brother was the number 3 pitcher for the University of South Carolina, and this kid was online to go to South Carolina as well, and they had a shortstop who was probably as good a player as I've seen infield-wise in a long time. He certainly had the ability to make every play that came his way, and he made them with a flair that indicated it, gave indication to his ability. So, that was certainly a good experience for us to play a team at that level. But of course, then we started the week off before, on the Good Friday as we were traveling down, we stopped in Pendleton County, and we had a game up there against Pendleton County. And so we got to play 6 games since the kids were, over the Easter break. And the weather was just great. It was in the mid-70s the whole time, no rain. And so it did, and I think it was a good week for all the Panhandle teams.
Yeah.
If you look around and see how I think it was the first time that all 6 of them, including the 3 from Berkeley County, 2 from here in Hampshire, were all down there at the same time, and just kind of neat to, cross paths with different people and then see how all the teams are doing, and kind of gives you a feel for how our area stacks up against other areas as far as high school baseball. And I think the results would indicate that, that the high school baseball in our area, it's certainly on par with what you'll find in most places.